My prayer for you is simple. May wisdom guide your management. May discipline guard your decisions. May generosity govern your increase. And may legacy follow your name. You see, every problem in your life, financial, relational, emotional, professional, is simply evidence of ignorance somewhere. The greatest enemy of man is not the devil. Let me say it again. The greatest enemy of man is not the devil. It is ignorance. Hosea 4:6 declares, my people are destroyed not because demons are powerful, but because they lack knowledge. The devil is not your biggest problem. Misunderstanding is. The absence of understanding is the presence of confusion. And where there is confusion, there is failure. So today, we are not going to fight the devil. We're going to fight ignorance. We're going to fight the lies that keep you in bondage. And we're going to expose the truth that will set you free. Lesson 4. The kingdom operates by understanding, not emotion. You can cry all night, you can shout all day, but until you understand, nothing will change. That's why Jesus spent more time teaching than healing. Healing fixed the symptom. Teaching fixed the system. He said, to you, it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom. He didn't say, to you, it has been given to feel. Knowledge establishes dominion. Emotion without revelation is frustration. You don't need to beg for what laws already guarantee. The problem is not that God has hidden success from you, is that you've ignored the keys that unlock it. So the problem behind your problem is not your situation, it is your system. You're praying for God to change your circumstance, but God is waiting for you to change your understanding. Listen carefully. Nothing is mysterious to the person who understands principles. Once you know the law, you can predict the result. You can live life intentionally, not accidentally. You can wake up every day and say, this will be a good day, not by faith alone, but by understanding the laws that make it so. That is why Proverbs 4:7 says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. The word principle means first in order, priority, foundation. God is saying, if you miss wisdom, you miss everything else. You can pray, you can fast, you can shout, but if you violate principles, you will still suffer consequences. So today, I want to teach you 70 kingdom lessons, 70 principles that will fix 93% of your problems. Why not 100%? Because God will always leave a small margin to keep you dependent on Him. But if you learn and apply these lessons, 93% of the things that frustrate your life will disappear. Your marriage, your business, your faith, your career, most of what is broken is not broken by the devil, it's broken by ignorance. You don't need a new season, you need new sense. You don't need a new environment, you need new understanding. Change doesn't begin when you move, it begins when your mind moves. So today, prepare your heart, open your spirit. This is not entertainment. This is education for elevation. Because when you understand how the kingdom works, you no longer live by luck, you live by law. And the moment you grasp that truth, your days of frustration are numbered. Now, let's begin. Before you can fix your problems, before you can build your future, before you can walk in purpose, there must be understanding. Proverbs 4:7 says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Notice it doesn't say get miracles. It doesn't say get emotions. It says get understanding, because understanding is the womb of success. Everything you fail to understand, you will inevitably abuse. Lesson 1. Ignorance is the greatest enemy of mankind. The devil thrives on ignorance. He doesn't fear your prayer if it's uninformed. He doesn't tremble at your worship if you don't understand why you're doing it. He fears knowledge because knowledge exposes his deception. My friend, you can't rebuke ignorance. You must replace it with truth. Say this after me. The absence of understanding is the presence of error. Every failure in your life is the result of a principle you violated, knowingly or unknowingly. So if you want to fix your life, don't ask what went wrong. Ask, what law did I break? Lesson 2, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. If you don't know why something exists, you will misuse it. That includes your time, your relationships, your gifts, and your body. Purpose protects function. A car is designed to drive on roads. If you try to drive it across the ocean, it's not the car's fault when it sinks, it's your ignorance of its purpose. In the same way, when you violate your design, you damage your destiny. Lesson 3, God created everything to function by principle. Everything in creation has laws that govern it. The seed obeys the law of sowing and reaping. The planet obeys the law of gravity. The mind obeys the law of focus. The moment you understand and align with those laws, success becomes predictable. God's kingdom doesn't operate by miracles as much as it operates by management of principles. Miracles are temporary solutions. Principles are permanent protection. Let me say it again. Miracles are for emergencies, but principles are for living. If you keep needing miracles every week, it means you're living outside the laws that make miracles unnecessary. The goal of God is not to keep rescuing you, it's to teach you how to rule. Lesson 4, the kingdom operates by understanding, not emotion. You can cry all night, you can shout all day, but until you understand, nothing will change. That's why Jesus spent more time teaching than healing. Healing fixed the symptom. Teaching fixed the system. He said, to you, it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom. He didn't say, to you, it has been given to feel. Knowledge establishes dominion. Emotion without revelation is frustration. Lesson 5, change doesn't begin when you move. It begins when your mind moves. Some people think if they change cities, change churches, change partners, things will improve. But if your mindset doesn't change, you will recreate the same mess in a new location. The Israelites left Egypt, but Egypt never left their minds. That's why they wandered for 40 years. You don't escape failure by relocating. You escape failure by renewing your mind. Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That word transformed means metamorphosis, a complete change from the inside out. It's not about patching the old, it's about becoming new. You cannot have a new life with an old mindset. You cannot step into a new season with old systems of thinking. So I ask you today, what do you understand about your own life? Do you know the principles that govern your purpose, your success, your relationships? Because until you do, you will continue to repeat cycles that prayer alone cannot break. Understanding is light, and light always exposes the hidden traps of darkness. When you gain understanding, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop guessing and start governing. You stop surviving and start succeeding. That's why Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Not shout the truth, not sing the truth. Know it, because knowledge of truth is what produces freedom. Your value is not in what you do, it's in why you do it. And when you live for purpose, your work becomes worship, your vision becomes legacy, and your life becomes a testimony of God's design. Lesson 4, the kingdom operates by understanding, not emotion. You can cry all night, you can shout all day, but until you understand, nothing will change. That's why Jesus spent more time teaching than healing. Healing fixed the symptom. Teaching fixed the system. He said, to you, it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom. He didn't say, to you, it has been given to feel. Knowledge establishes dominion. Emotion without revelation is frustration. So I ask you today, what do you understand about your own life? Do you know the principles that govern your purpose, your success, your relationships? Because until you do, you will continue to repeat cycles that prayer alone cannot break. Lesson 4. The kingdom operates by understanding, not emotion. You can cry all night, you can shout all day, but until you understand, nothing will change. That's why Jesus spent more time teaching than healing. Healing fixed the symptom. Teaching fixed the system. He said, to you, it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom. He didn't say, to you, it has been given to feel. Knowledge establishes dominion. Emotion without revelation is frustration. So I ask you today, what do you understand about your own life? Do you know the principles that govern your purpose, your success, your relationships? Because until you do, you will continue to repeat cycles that prayer alone cannot break. Lesson 7. You were sent to earth to release something heaven placed within you. There is something you carry that no one else can deliver. There is a seed inside you that earth needs. Your gift is your assignment in disguise. If you die with it, the world remains poorer because of your silence. The tragedy of life is not death, it is dying without fulfilling purpose. So I challenge you today. Stop asking God to bless your plans and start asking him to reveal his. Because success is not about doing more, it's about doing what you were born to do. Lesson 8. Success is not comparison, it is completion of purpose. You are not in competition with anyone. When you compare, you corrupt. God did not make you to copy anyone. He made you to complete something. The only person you are meant to outperform is the version of yourself that wasted yesterday. Joseph did not try to be like Pharaoh. He became valuable because he operated within his purpose. Daniel did not compete with magicians. He excelled because his wisdom came from purpose, not popularity. You will never find peace trying to live someone else's calling. Say with me, I am unique by design. That means you must stop measuring success by other people's applause. Measure it by God's assignment. When you fulfill what he sent you to do, you will hear the only approval that matters. Well done, good and faithful servant. Lesson 9. Your purpose is discovered, not decided. You don't decide what to be, you discover what already is. Purpose is not something you invent, it is something you uncover. It's like a seed. The tree is already inside. You don't pray for the seed to become a tree. You just create the right environment. Likewise, your purpose is already within you. Your job is to cultivate it through discipline, learning, and obedience. That's why I tell people, education is not the source of purpose. It's the tool to refine it. You can have a degree and still live a life of confusion because education gives you knowledge, but revelation gives you direction. The question is not, what do I want to do? The real question is, why was I born? Lesson 10. If you don't know your purpose, others will use you for theirs. When you don't know where you're going, anyone can take you anywhere. When you don't define your priorities, people will define them for you. The greatest tragedy in life is not to die, it is to live without knowing why you live. Many are busy but not fruitful, active but not effective, visible but not valuable. Let me remind you, everything God created he created to fulfill a purpose. The bird was designed to fly. The fish was designed to swim. The seed was designed to grow. You were designed to lead, to manage, to influence, to create, to manifest the nature of God on earth. Purpose protects your time, directs your energy, and defines your relationships. Without purpose, you waste your years chasing everything and catching nothing. But once you discover it, you become unstoppable, because purpose gives pain a reason and success a mission. So today, stop trying to be successful, seek to be purposeful, because success without purpose is failure in disguise. Your value is not in what you do, it's in why you do it. And when you live for purpose, your work becomes worship, your vision becomes legacy, and your life becomes a testimony of God's design. Now, my friend, let us move to the next great pillar of kingdom living, the discipline of value. You see, in the kingdom of God, you are not remembered for being busy. You are remembered for being valuable. Many people are everywhere, but they are not effective anywhere. Value, not visibility, determines significance. Lesson 11. Value is the magnet of destiny. People do not follow you because they like you. They follow you because they need you. Purpose attracts attention, but value attracts opportunity. When you become valuable, you never have to chase anything. Opportunities begin to chase you. Promotion looks for you. Favor finds you. Say this aloud. I don't need to chase success. I must become success. That's what Jesus meant when he said, a city on a hill cannot be hidden. When you are valuable, you don't need to advertise. Your excellence becomes your announcement. Lesson 12. Excellence is evangelism. The greatest witness to the world is not your words, it's your work. When Daniel served in Babylon, he didn't preach sermons in the palace. He displayed wisdom, discipline, and integrity. And the Bible says the king found him 10 times better than all the others. That's evangelism through excellence. Excellence is not perfection. It is doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. Whether you are sweeping a floor or leading a company, do it in a way that reflects the character of your king, because God never rewards mediocrity. He only blesses mastery. Lesson 13. Be valuable, not just visible. There are many people in the crowd, but only a few make impact. Presence without substance leads to irrelevance. Some people spend their lives trying to be noticed, while others develop themselves to be needed. Visibility can be achieved overnight, but value takes years of development. Which one do you think lasts longer? Social media can make you visible. Discipline makes you valuable. Don't live for likes, live for legacy. Lesson 14. Don't pray for promotion, prepare for it. When you develop your value, you don't need to beg to be recognized. The Bible says in Proverbs 18:16, a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. Notice, it doesn't say his connections, his money, or his emotions. It says his gift. Your gift will make room for you if you make time for it. Some people are praying for doors to open, but God is saying, I can't open the door for you until you have something to carry inside. Promotion doesn't come by prayer alone. It comes by preparation. The throne belongs to those who are ready for responsibility. Remember Joseph, when he was in Potiphar's house, he didn't complain. He developed competence. When he was in prison, he didn't waste time. He worked on wisdom. And when Pharaoh called, Joseph didn't need time to prepare. He had already prepared in private. That is why God could trust him in public. Say this after me. Private preparation leads to public promotion. Lesson 15. People pay for value, not time. The world does not reward availability. It rewards ability. There's a difference. You can be available all day and still remain broke. But when you invest years to build skill, character, and excellence, you can accomplish in minutes what others can't in years. Remember the story of the consultant who charged a high fee for 15 minutes of work? He said, "You're not paying me for 15 minutes, you're paying me for the 15 years that trained those 15 minutes. That's value. You see, value compresses time. When you become valuable, 1 hour of your work can be worth what others earn in a month. Stop trading time for money. Start trading value for reward. Hear me carefully. Your gift is God's deposit, but your discipline is your development. God gives potential, you create performance. Heaven gives seeds, you grow the fruit. The tragedy of our generation is that we want results without refinement, influence without investment, and recognition without readiness. But the kingdom doesn't work that way. God will never give you what you pray for. He gives you what you prepare for. So invest in yourself. Study, learn, practice, grow. Excellence is not an act, it's a lifestyle. When you become excellent, the world will find you. When you master your craft, doors will open by themselves. And when your value increases, your voice will carry authority. Because hear me, value is louder than talent. Value speaks without words. And when you develop it, even your silence will be respected. Now, let's move into something every great man and woman of purpose must learn: the power of boundaries. My friend, hear me well, even Jesus had boundaries. If the Son of God needed to withdraw, so do you. Many people are exhausted not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack order. You cannot pour into others when your own cup is empty. You cannot fulfill purpose if you are constantly distracted by people who do not share it. Lesson 16. Availability without focus leads to irrelevance. Some people think being always available makes them valuable. No, it makes them ordinary. When you are everywhere, you are effective nowhere. The more available you are, the less people appreciate you. Because what is common becomes cheap, and what is always accessible loses its worth. Let me tell you something. Even favor has an expiration date when abused. You cannot be available for everyone and still be aligned with your assignment. The devil's greatest strategy is not to destroy you, it is to distract you. He will not attack your purpose directly. He will overload your calendar until you are too busy to hear from God. Say this with me. My time is holy. It is the currency of destiny. If you waste time on the wrong people and the wrong places, you will bankrupt your future. Lesson 17. Every yes is a no to something else. When you say yes to every request, you are saying no to your own growth, your rest, your prayer, your preparation. Learn to measure your commitments against your calling. Ask yourself, does this align with my purpose? If it doesn't, have the courage to say no. Saying no is not rebellion, it is wisdom. It means you understand that obedience to God sometimes requires disappointing people. Lesson 18. Protect your priorities. Purpose needs privacy. Purpose cannot grow in noise. Every seed needs soil, and every calling needs solitude. Even Jesus, surrounded by crowds, loved by multitudes, often withdrew to lonely places to pray. Luke 5:16. Why? Because he understood that public power is sustained by private prayer. If you don't learn to pull away, you will eventually fall apart. If you don't create time to listen to God, you will start echoing the voices of others. And when your life becomes too loud, your purpose becomes too quiet. Lesson 19. Rest is a kingdom law, not a luxury. Rest is not laziness. Rest is renewal. God himself worked 6 days and rested on the seventh. If the Creator rested, what makes you think the created can survive without it? Burnout is not a badge of honor. It's evidence of poor management. The Sabbath was not made for religion. It was made for rhythm. You cannot keep producing if you never pause to refuel. Rest restores revelation. When you are rested, you think clearer, decide wiser, and create better. Lesson 20. Boundaries are not selfish. They are stewardship. Boundaries protect blessing. When you set boundaries, you are not shutting people out. You are keeping your purpose in. You are protecting the anointing God entrusted to you. Nehemiah understood this when his enemies tried to distract him from rebuilding the wall. They said, "Come down and meet with us." But Nehemiah replied, "I am doing a great work and cannot come down." Nehemiah 6-3. That must become your declaration. Say it with me. I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. You don't need to explain your no. You don't need to justify your limits. Purpose is reason enough. So stop feeling guilty for protecting your time. Stop apologizing for your focus. Boundaries are not barriers. They are bridges to effectiveness. When you master the power of boundaries, you gain authority over distraction. You begin to move from reacting to leading, from exhaustion to excellence, from being busy to being fruitful. Now, my friend, let's move to a principle that separates dreamers from achievers, the secret of discipline. If there is one thing that determines whether you will fulfill your destiny or merely admire others who do it, is this: discipline. Desire is cheap. Discipline is expensive. Everyone wants success, but few are willing to pay its price. Lesson 21. Discipline is the bridge between vision and reality. Vision without discipline is illusion. You can have the clearest dream from God, but if you lack the discipline to follow it through, it will die in your imagination. God gives vision freely, but he reserves manifestation for the disciplined. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 9:24-27, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize." Then he said, "I beat my body and make it my slave." What does that mean? He's saying, I don't let feelings lead me, I let purpose lead me. Discipline means you act based on principle, not emotion. Lesson 22, your habits predict your future. Your destiny is not decided by your dreams, it is decided by your daily decisions. You will never change your life until you change something you do daily. Your habits are the prophecy of your future. Show me your routine, and I will show you your destiny. Every great man and woman of God developed discipline. Jesus prayed before dawn. Daniel prayed 3 times a day. Joseph worked with excellence, even in prison. David wrote psalms in caves. These were not random acts. They were habits of greatness. So ask yourself today, what habits are building or breaking your destiny? Lesson 23. Self-control is self-respect. The inability to control yourself is the surest way to destroy yourself. If you cannot manage your emotions, your appetite, your time, or your words, you will sabotage your own potential. Discipline is not punishment. It is protection. It guards you from self-destruction. Proverbs 25-28 says, like a city with broken walls is a man who lacks self-control. Without discipline, you are defenseless. The enemy doesn't need to attack you. Your own habits will do it for him. But when you control yourself, you honor yourself. Because the highest form of respect is mastery over your own impulses. Lesson 24. If you cannot control your appetite, you cannot control your destiny. Esau sold his birthright for a single meal. A moment of pleasure cost him a lifetime of purpose. Discipline means saying no to the temporary so you can say yes to the eternal. Every time you deny the lesser, you make room for the greater. That's why fasting is not just about food, it's about focus. It reminds your flesh that your spirit is in charge. You can't lead others if your stomach leads you. You can't manage people if you can't manage yourself. Lesson 25. Consistency turns ordinary into legendary. One act of discipline won't change your life, but daily discipline will. The power of small, consistent actions compounds over time. A drop of water falling on a rock every day eventually breaks it. Likewise, a disciplined man will accomplish what the talented man only talks about. Discipline turns momentum into mastery. Talent may open the door, but only discipline keeps you there. Say with me. Discipline is the womb of greatness. Yes, because discipline births destiny. You see, success in the kingdom is not luck, it is law. God does not promote wishes, he promotes workers. Proverbs 13:4 says, the soul of the diligent shall be richly supplied. So stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is eternal. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Discipline means you do it even when it's hard, even when no one is watching, even when you don't feel like it, because your purpose demands it. Remember this. Discipline today is deliverance tomorrow. When you live with discipline, you no longer chase opportunities, you attract them. Because discipline is what God can trust. And God only anoints what he can trust. Now, we move to the next great key in the kingdom. The principle of faith and obedience. So stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is eternal. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Let me say that again. Faith is not manipulation. It is cooperation with divine principles. Faith doesn't make God move. Faith moves you to align with what God already said. Remember this. Discipline today is deliverance tomorrow. When you live with discipline, you no longer chase opportunities, you attract them. Because discipline is what God can trust. And God only anoints what he can trust. Faith is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the church today. Many people treat faith like magic, something mystical that makes God do whatever they want. But true faith is not manipulation, it is cooperation. Faith is not waiting for evidence, it is acting on instruction. The proof of faith is not your shout, it is your step. Lesson 27. God blesses instruction, not intention. You can have the best intentions in the world and still live in disobedience. God doesn't reward what you mean to do, he rewards what you actually do. Intentions are good, but instructions are divine. When God told Joshua to march around Jericho, he didn't ask him to understand the strategy, he asked him to obey it. The walls didn't fall because of volume, they fell because of obedience. The miracle was in the method. Faith is not waiting for evidence, it is acting on instruction. The proof of faith is not your shout, it is your step. Lesson 28. Every miracle is a result of obedience to a principle. God does not violate his laws to help you, he uses his laws to bless you. When Jesus multiplied the loaves and fish, he first told the disciples, sit the people down. Why? Because order always precedes increase. God will never multiply what you refuse to manage. Say this after me. My obedience is my access. That's right. Obedience gives you access to promises that prayer alone cannot unlock. Miracles are not random. They are the reward of alignment. The woman with the oil in 2 Kings 4 didn't just receive a miracle because she cried. She received it because she followed instructions. Go, borrow vessels, shut the door, and pour. Her obedience activated overflow. When the Israelites refused to enter Canaan, it wasn't because God was weak, it was because they were disobedient. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. So I ask you, what has God told you to do that you are still postponing? Your next level doesn't require more prophecy, it requires more obedience. Lesson 30. Faith without discipline is fantasy. Faith is not reckless, it is responsible. Some people say they have faith, but they refuse structure, they ignore preparation, they despise process. Real faith works hand in hand with order. It's one thing to believe God will bless you, it's another to prepare for what you're believing for. You say you have faith for abundance, do you have a plan to manage it? You say you have faith for marriage, are you preparing your character for it? You say you have faith for influence, are you developing the integrity to sustain it? Faith without discipline produces disappointment. Faith with obedience produces destiny. James 2:17 says, faith without works is dead. Dead faith doesn't move heaven, and it doesn't move you either. Faith is action in the direction of trust. When God gives you an instruction, don't delay, don't debate, don't doubt, just do it. Because delayed obedience is disobedience disguised as caution. Faith obeys even when it hurts. Faith acts even when it doesn't make sense. And faith keeps going even when nothing changes, because it knows that obedience is never wasted. When you live by faith and obedience, miracles stop being occasional, they become natural, because obedience is heaven's favorite language. Now that we have established that obedience activates faith, let's look at another law that determines how far your obedience will carry you. The law of relationships and influence. You cannot fulfill purpose alone. Even Jesus did not complete his mission without disciples. Purpose is personal, but destiny is communal. God never sends a man into destiny without relationships to shape, sharpen, and sustain him. Lesson 31. Wrong company cancels destiny. Your environment is more powerful than your intention. You can have the right dream in the wrong crowd and end up in destruction. Samson didn't lose his strength in battle. He lost it in relationship. Delilah wasn't his problem. His disobedience to principle was. The wrong people will drain your vision, dilute your discipline, and distract your focus. Say this with me. Who I walk with determines where I arrive. If your friends are not going where you're going, you're not in fellowship, you're in conflict. Lesson 32. Your friends are prophecy. They predict your future. Proverbs 13:20 says, he who walks with the wise will become wise, but a companion of fools will suffer harm. You don't even need to pray to know your future. Just look at your circle. If you spend your time with those who gossip, you'll soon become one. If you walk with thinkers, you'll begin to dream higher. If you walk with worshipers, you'll become more sensitive to God. Your friends are mirrors of your mindset. You can't soar like an eagle if you keep nesting with pigeons. Lesson 33. Relationships must be purposeful, not convenient. Not everyone who is around you is assigned to you. Some people are in your life for a reason, some for a season, and some for a lesson. Learn to discern the difference. Purposeful relationships stretch you, sharpen you, and strengthen your assignment. Convenient relationships comfort you, but rarely change you. James 2:17 says, faith without works is dead. Dead faith doesn't move heaven, and it doesn't move you either. Faith is action in the direction of trust. Lesson 34. You cannot fly with people who love the ground. Some of you are trying to take off, but you're surrounded by those who have no wings. You talk about vision, they talk about entertainment. You talk about purpose, they talk about problems. You talk about building, they talk about blaming. You can't rise above the environment you tolerate. When God called Abraham, the first instruction was leave your country, your kindred, and your father's house. Because sometimes separation is preparation. God will remove certain people not because they are bad, but because they are not built for where you are going. Lesson 35. Honor attracts favor. Relationship is a currency in the kingdom, and its value is measured by honor. When you honor people, you create access. Dishonor closes doors. Joseph honored Pharaoh's authority, and his gift made room for him. Daniel honored kings, and his wisdom promoted him. Jesus honored the Father, and he received authority over all. Hear this. You can't receive from someone you don't respect. When God wants to bless you, he sends people. When Satan wants to destroy you, he also sends people. Your discernment will determine your direction. So guard your circle. Choose your confidants wisely. Not everyone deserves access to your mind or your time. Love everyone, but not everyone should lead you. Forgive freely, but trust slowly. Be kind to all, but connect deeply only with those who fuel your fire, not those who drain your oil. Because relationships are the garden where your influence grows or dies. If you want to multiply your impact, multiply the right alliances. If you want to guard your destiny, prune the wrong attachments. Remember this, isolation prevents growth, but infection prevents destiny. Choose carefully. Stay teachable. Stay humble. Stay surrounded by greatness.